all those moments will be lost in time.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to discuss something that I've been getting a lot of DMs, emails, comments about. And I think it's actually an important subject to cover, seeing our day and age, seeing that a lot of you guys might have tattoos, might want tattoos. It's something worth talking about. So I think one of the first things people ask me is about my finger tattoos, if those cause issues for me. So I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm only going to be talking about my personal experience, and my personal experience has been in certain fields. So the fields have been, I did retail for a while, and then now I'm in academia. So those are the fields I'm going to be talking about. Of course, when you're considering tattoos, the field that you're going to be working in is, I think, the paramount concern you should think about in terms of tattoos career-wise. Of course, if you're going to be working in business or something that's very customer service oriented, people might not hire you simply because of tattoos, even if you're qualified, which is a horrible thing. To be fair though, if we do get tattoos, we need to hold on to the responsibility that comes with that, and the responsibility is that some people might not want to hire us for it, and as much as it bothers me and I don't really like that, I can't really blame them, because if you own a company and you want it to be tattoo free because you want a certain type of customer to come in, well, I can't really blame you for that. However, I decided to look online to see what websites, articles, statistics were saying, and I found one that was from 4 years ago. A lot of this is pretty old information, relatively speaking. And on this one article, which I'll link below, they asked, would a candidate having tattoos affect your decision to hire a person? So these were the results with, yes, I would be less likely to hire them with 13.85%. Yes, I would be more likely to hire them with 0.31%. No, it wouldn't affect my decision with 22.77%. And it would depend on the role I was trying to fill with 35.08%. And it would depend on how many tattoos and where they were with 28%. So as this article shows, the majority is more concerned with the role they're trying to fill, which is going back to what I'm saying. Finger tattoos might be a problem if you want to work in a bank. If you want to work as a professor, no, probably not. I've never encountered any problems. The place where I work now, which is at a college, my boss even has tattoos. So I do think that depending on how kind of artistic or, I know it's a terrible term, but soft science-y your job is, it's going to be probably more lenient on that end. However, one thing to keep in mind is that even if my personal area field of career is pretty lenient on that kind of stuff, I wouldn't go ahead and say that if I had a face tattoo, I would likely be hired, because as much as the stigma with tattoos is lessening in some places, in some ways, face tattoos still hold an enormous stigma. More than, I think, having finger tattoos, arm tattoos, whatever the hell. Face and neck, I think, are still very, very intimidating to a lot of people, which is why they wouldn't hire someone like that.
Those are cool tats, man.
Oh, for real. Thank you, bro. You see the Cobra?
Yeah, what is this one? What's the one right there?
Oh, this?
Uh-huh.
That's my credo. No regrets.
Mm-hmm.
So another question this article asked was, do you take people less seriously if they have tattoos? Yes, I do, with 22%. No, I don't, with 49.39%. It depends on the situation, with 18.63%. And it depends on how many, with 9.94%. So as much as I don't really have a problem with places not hiring me because of tattoos, because I mean, like I said, that's up to them. For the most part, I feel like if you're telecommuting, it would be really shitty to not hire someone if they have tattoos, because it's not like they're really going to be interacting with anyone, but that's a different conversation. I do have a problem with people who take you less seriously because you have tattoos. Now, granted, there are some tattoos that I think of that I don't think I'd judge someone for them as much as I'd be like, okay, I feel like I can relate less to this person. Like, people who get like full-on porn-type tattoos, which I've seen, and I'm not a fan. That makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, I don't like that kind of tattoo. I'm not likely to think that they're a piece of shit or stupid just because they have it, but I feel like I'll relate less. I don't think I'd take them less seriously necessarily. However, this question really bothers me because I have encountered a lot of people, and this wasn't career-wise. Career-wise, I think I've been fine. I've encountered pretty open-minded people, I'd say. But just generally life-wise, I've encountered so many people that are like, oh my god, you have so many tattoos. Are you gonna stop? Are you gonna get more? Don't you think that's too much now? And to be fair, you're allowed to have those opinions, 100% you're allowed. The thing is, I've never really understood why you would feel that you should come up to me and tell me that. You know, like, it's one thing if you're genuinely asking questions to know the answers, but in a majority of these situations, the way that the questions were posed were kind of already insulting, the same way that I get about one troll per video asking me if I'm trans, which isn't insulting, but the way in which they ask it could be insulting. Like if they say, are you a fucking tranny, compared to, are you transgender, you kind of can see that the intention is a little bit different, right? So that's happened in real life, which is a consequence of getting tattoos. People are sometimes not open-minded, and depending on where you live, people might be huge fucking squares about it. When I lived in China, actually, I was one of the very few people that I knew who was tattooed, because there it's still not as accepted as here in a lot of ways. So the majority of the comments, because they asked the people who took the survey to make comments if they wanted to, and the majority of the comments here are saying that it doesn't matter how many tattoos you have apart from face and neck for a lot of people, and it's more about your experience, how eligible you are for the role. So it's, tattoos I don't think make a difference for a lot of people. It's just very much based on the fact that there are some racist tattoos and there are some shitty tattoos that might say not just racist things, but just generally discriminatory things. A lot of these comments are like, oh, if they had a swastika, or if they had something that was inciting hate or violence, I wouldn't hire them. So I feel like a lot of people kind of say that they wouldn't hire people with tattoos, or that they might not hire them based on these extreme examples, because I'm pretty sure in most places, although there are a lot of grocery stores that don't hire people with tattoos, which I always thought was weird. But in most places, if you have a tattoo of a freaking bird, no one's gonna say anything about it. So one thing that the article says at the end is, here at Workopolis, we would never suggest you don't get tattooed. The author of this survey has several, but we think you should be aware of how the decision might affect your career and job prospects. And I completely agree with that. And it says one thing here, which I kind of identify with. It says, while it may be tempting to say you wouldn't want to work for anyone who would judge you based on your tattoos and doesn't accept you the way you are, keep in mind that you might then find yourself out of work for a very long time. So considering that this was 4 years ago, I do think that there still is a stigma, but it has lessened. Aside from that, I still kind of live by the thing that I would rather not work for someone who judges me based on my tattoos. So I still go by that, but the reality is that by going with that life philosophy, you might find yourself in a difficult place. Of course, like I said before, it really all depends on the field you're planning on going into, especially if it's a more artistic field or a more maybe contract-based field instead of like a usual 9-to-5 type of job. I feel like those jobs tend to be more lenient. In terms of me for academia, I am planning on getting my PhD, so at that point it's just like, you can't really be turned down for a position because of tattoos once you have a PhD. It's way more about experience and seeing how it is that you teach, what you've published, and so forth. So for me, it's never been a problem, and I doubt it is going to be a problem, especially since times are evolving. People are trans race, people are trans species, so I feel like tattoos are going to be the least of our problems in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to address that since I've gotten a lot of questions. If you have other questions about tattoos, generally how they've affected this or that, you can leave those down below. And as a last thing, I'd like to know where you stand on this. Not necessarily if you like or dislike tattoos, because I feel like that's not the important part here, but if you were an employer, or even as an employee, how do you feel about it, about people getting hired or not hired because of tattoos? Do you think it's fair? Do you think there should be a law? I know a lot of people who think there should be a law saying that you can't discriminate against it. What do you think? Let me know. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and let's get into the fan art.